Sex workers of Reddit. What's the weirdest kink a customer has asked you to fulfill? I was paid $200 to kick me a customer in the balls till he came. Only took about 4 times to make him come. Did it a few times. He even paid me $500 when I went out clubbing to do it in a corner of the club. Not super crazy, but I had a guy approach me through Reddit and ask just to be able to give me money with no strings attached. There was a couple month period during which he would gradually send me money in multiple $15 payments spread throughout the day. Sometimes we text too. Sometimes we wouldn't message for a week, but he'd still send me money and quietly wait until I felt like talking. He liked when I ignored him. And if we talked it turned him on when I was mean. He ended up giving me about $1,500 without him ever asking for so much as a photo. I think I might qualify as a one-time ex-worker. One night, after riding the subway home from work, a guy followed me off the train and offered to buy the shoes off my feet. He stammered through some nonsense about being a sneaker collector and paid me $450 in cash for my old, sweaty canvas Vans. Totally worth the 2-block walk home in my socks. A client pays me to teach him how to blow his nose properly, making sure to say key phrases like blow it clear. Another one set up a fantasy scenario where I receive an expensive vibrator in the mail, but when I open it, discover a tiny man that's stuck in it. He said what you don't know is that man was a factory worker that got stuck in the vibrator making it. I was obviously confused where he wanted me to go with this, but suggested I should try using the vibrator with the man attached. Nope. The client replied I can't come unless you destroy it. I love the lack of kink shaming here. Also, not a ex-worker, but ex-military. Some guys aren't too shy about sharing even the most personal crap. One of my buddies had a kink with those horse girls that actually pretend to be horses. I mean they gallop around on all 4 and jump over the obstacles. The whole 9 yards. He grew up on a ranch too. Said what's wrong with combining the best of both worlds? That sentence raises more questions than 11 need answered. A customer had a fishing fetish. Got fisher outfits for some girls like a raincoat or some crap, and brought a fishing rod, boots and all, and the girls had to act like they were fishing him while he was laying on the floor and moved like a fish. Craziest crap I heard, but whatever floats their boat I guess. Not me, but I heard this story from a friend of a friend who worked in a BDSM club. She had this client that would come in with a few bean bags full of nettles. It's a stinging plant for anyone not familiar. Wikipedia says they are not native to a lot of places. Anyway, then they put a tarpaulin down on the ground so they could roll him up in it with the nettles like a joint. Then she just kicked duck out of him, and apparently that's what got him off. After reading through this thread, I'm nowhere near the perverted bastard I thought I was. One of my favorite customers at my restaurant is a Southwestern, and she always tells me stories in exchange for a free booba. She's also the best tipper. The best story she's told me is a guy paying her $200 to just stand on his belly. Nothing else, just stand there fully clothed. Dude didn't even jerk off or anything. And he made an appointment every time she was in town, lol. I think the strangest I've ever gotten was a man who had a huge fetish for Disney characters. And I'm not even talking just Disney princesses. He loved crap like Lilo and Stitch or Pooh Bear. He regularly paid me several hundred to dress up as his favorite characters and basically verbally abuse him. It was a sweet gig while it lasted. However strange. Nothing really surprises me anymore after that one. Edit. This blew up way more than I expected. I'll try and get to everyone's questions and messages eventually. Thank you all for being so kind and open-minded. I was camming and a guy wanted to start a pay-per-minute camming show. I agreed and just casually talked with him for a bit. Then to the weird part. He wanted me to lie in full view of the camera. Completely still. Like literally not move. I spent about an hour just laying completely still and making no sound. I have no idea what he got out of it. I was a receptionist in a massage parlor. Had a guy who would ring before attending to request that a girl take a cold bath before he got there. Apparently, He would ask them to lie completely still, as if they were dead. If he caught them moving, he lost his mojo. Most of the girls only saw him once, and refused him thereafter. Creepy. Edit. We also had a dungeon. Duck knows what went on in there. I did not want to know. Edit 2. This is a then. Now pick of the place. It's a pretty locally famous building and everyone knows what it is. The bottom right window is the dungeon. Top left was the school room. Standard, not a ex-worker, but I smoke cigars for fun, and had a guy request to pay for a custom video of me trying to light a cigar with a broken lighter, and get very annoyed that it won't light. Specific. Make a video where I'm sunbathing, and then I accidentally say the magic words, and then suddenly I get yucky slime dumped all over me. Did you ever wanna get slimmed on Nickelodeon as a kid? Yep, me too. Guess what? It's ducking gross. Feels like getting bathed on and it stinks like sour milk. That smell didn't leave my hair for a week. And if you're interested in what that looks like, someone posted a GIF from the video on here a few years ago. Edit. Found the GIF. Online only here. I had a man pay me $500 to sit on my feet in panties and a t-shirt and turn my back to the camera and play video games while ignoring the camera. Worth. Edit. Since this blew up, it was via cam online, so he wasn't there in person. Yes, I had below zero. I bought it day one. But unfortunately my PC has way too low specs for it. So it sits unplayed in my Steam account. Thanks for all the fun comments, guys. I did not expect this to go off like it did. You're all cool people. Not a Rex worker, but my friend who is, had a client that needed expensive gourmet pies thrown into his face while he was strapped to a chair. I'm no ex-worker. However, this seems fitting. Somebody I know went out with somebody that would get extremely turned on by her singing "Happy Birthday Mr. President" to the point he'd come with no stimulation at all. Oh, I also had a guy out of his mind on Molly, had me over for like 5 hours, but had me arrive at midnight, then proceeded to dress me in every Halloween costume he had ever worn, and photograph me in pirate stuff, LOTR costume, and there was a large staff taller than I am. Guy who makes the radio T out of vids. Why didn't I get on the vid? I have hella upvotes and 2 awards. Kinda sad about it. Watch this question be in an AskReddit text to speech video. I'm no ex-worker, but I did know a guy who would roll a layer of tissue paper under his foreskin when he had X. It was an awkward night when his girlfriend revealed she had to remove dried bits of tissue paper from her anus. I've only ex-worked once, when I didn't have enough money for a night out. Guy paid me £250 for me to sit on his back naked for 3 hours. He didn't do anything, just laid there. No conversation whilst I watched TV. I felt like I'd ripped him off, but he was very appreciative. There's plenty of fetishes I don't indulge, but understand how people get off. But I struggle to understand what he was getting out of it. To each their own. In a special massage place, friend of a friend told me that one of her customer comes in regularly to get his ass cheek scratched for 1 hour. I'm not a ex-worker, but the weirdest request I've had was on Reddit from a guy offering me $50 an hour to crush mealworms and insects with my feet. Oh, and the bugs would be supplied to me. Another time, a guy offered me $200 just to show up and meet him. Didn't have to talk or stay, just collect money and leave, which was obviously sketchy as duck, and I didn't go. I had to slip a 45 record over the top of this guy's penis, then sit back with a cigarette and spin the record with my foot, take a puff and say, "Hi, my name is Jeannie, and I'm 15 years old." Then blow out the smoke. I said this over and over until he came. Then he tried to give me the record for a souvenir. Let's just cuddle all night. This one is really gross, so read at your own risk. I never met this guy in person. We corresponded through ML only. He sent me a pet egg, one of those foot exfoliators that looks like a cheese grater, and asked me to take a 5-minute video of myself using it on my feet. He had me use it multiple times over a couple weeks, specifically after wearing smelly shoes. At the end of the allotted time, I would send him the shavings in the mail, mixed with toenail clippings, so he could eat them while watching the video. Gag. But $300 is $300. Not me. But my friend was doing cam work, and she told me that she was asked to show her ass, which she did. And then the guy whipped out a cucumber and slathered it in butter and shoved it up his ass. She tells me this is something she can never see. I used to sell a friend of mine sleeping pills. She had a client who liked them being injected to his stick and tried to duck her before he went to sleep. He would take about 10 to 15 minutes before he crashed out. She was always paid up front, and she would leave when he fell asleep. Not a Rex worker, but I used to have a modeling page, and I got a message through once asking me to take videos and pictures of me sitting on cakes. He tried to claim it was for charity. Excuse me sir, but your stick is not a charity. Edit. I'm glad I amused some of you with this. Also note, I did not, in fact, sit on any cakes. That is a waste of perfectly good cake. Someone asked me to watch his 7-year-old wank over me on cam while I played with myself. He offered to pay my highest rates and tip me generously. I reported and blocked his ass as quickly as I could. Edit. Holy crap, I didn't really expect any response. It's just scary because he could make more emails, but I like to think most, if not all models would do the same. Edit 2.0. I work online. I don't meet up with people. I have no idea who the guy is. I can't even see clients' emails through the site. Assuming that he even used a personal email to sign up. All I can do is block and report him to the site and hope that they deal with it correctly. My site takes stuff like that seriously. Not a Rex worker exactly, but I do write custom erotica commissions. Have had people request severe torture porn and child stuff. Obviously I won't write either. But one of the weirder ones was Muslim humiliation. A guy wanted me to write about an imam being beaten and humiliated in front of his wife. Very graphic in his choices of methods. Made me wonder how someone develops a fetish like that. This isn't as weird as the top post, but it's a good one. I've heard men with a financial domination fetish. Basically they want you to steal their wallets or demand money. Easy peasy. They get off by having you control their money. I used to drive around prostitutes and do security for them. Very regularly. One of the girls would get a call from this guy, who would have her show up in steel toe boots and kick him repeatedly in the stick and face as hard as she could. He paid her $200 to beat him until he passed out. Usually 6 to 8 minutes. That became a once or twice a week thing for well over a year I was driving her. I worked with a lot of street workers. As a cop, it's really beneficial to have a good working relationship with prostitutes. They are full of information. They are also very vulnerable and need keeping an eye on. One woman was known for catering to the nastier side of things. She had a client who liked to be outside. From there she would squat over him and crap on his chest. He would smear it over his chest before buttoning up his shirt and carrying on with his day. She said the worst thing was, if she needed a crap before seeing him, she'd have to hold it in